So let's talk about the tread for the vehicle here. And there's a couple different ways that we can make this tread. One way, which is a little bit more complicated, is we can make the tread as a flat piece of geometry that's laid out, and then we can put a nonlinear deformer on it, and we can curve it back together and make it into a solid piece of tread. Okay, that's a little bit more complicated. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to start off with two basic shapes that are in the shape of a wheel, and I'm going to show you how I can go in and I can modify those shapes to basically create a tire really quickly. Okay, so I'm going to start with this shape right here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hold it up in rough placement to my vehicle just to get an idea of what the size should be. Okay, so once I get that about right there, I'm going to go ahead. I have this little piece of poly right here. It's going to be my ground plane. Okay. There. So now I have an idea of how my tire needs to, where it needs to hit the ground, and how it needs to come just a little bit under the fender, let's say. Okay. Now right now, there's a couple things about this shape that I don't like. One is it's basically a donut. Two, I have a jagged edge on that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to come in here. Okay, I'm going to adjust some vertices on that. Okay, make it a little bit more high-res feel in there. Okay, and I'm also going to adjust I'm going to have a thicker rim shape on these tires, so I'm going to adjust the section radius. So I'm going to come in here and manually start to slide it down, get a little bit thinner, and it's just going to be easier for me. That's actually not too bad for part of the shape I was going for. Let me go a little bit larger. So I'm going to manually enter a couple numbers here and get it to feel what I was sort of aiming for. Let's go with about 3. That feels pretty good. Get that up a little bit more, about there. Here we go. Get it down to about here. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do really quick here is I'm going to go and I'm going to stretch this out. Okay. So the fact that I just stretched it out, that's one way I can start making sort of an interesting shape right there. Is I just took simple torus, I stretched it out. I can now come in, I can start creating a rim shape, and I can start putting other elements or details on there. Okay, but you notice my tire has sort of a rounded feel to it. Okay, I don't mind that per se, but if I wanted to not get that rounded feel, what I could do is I could take the object separately like this. Okay, I'm going to make everything else disappear. And I'm going to come over here and I can grab the vertices, and I can come along part of the edge here. I can grab these vertices and I can get a nice rounded edge by scaling them together, like so. Okay? See, like that? Got that nice sort of rounded edge there. Now it's important to add up. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 sections of vertices there. So I'm going to scale those up. So here I would have about 1, 2, 3, 4. Same thing here going across. I'm going to select those. Make sure I have them all selected. I'm going to scale those up right there. Now do you see that? That's how I got a hard edge tire. Okay? Okay? So, now what I'm going to do, I have this midsection right here. Okay? I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to grab this midsection right here. Now before I continue any further with this tire, I want to add some tread on there. I'm going to show you a really simple way that I can go in and I could add some tread to it. Okay? First thing though, is I'm not going to need all this interior detail of what's in there. You know, I guess I could leave it. I want to have my rim start somewhere about in here, and I have these interior lines in there. So you know what, I was going to delete from about, I was going to select a face here from about here back and get rid of all those extra points. I don't really think I need them right now because I was going to have an outside rim come on there, but you know what, I can do that at the end. I'll just leave it for time being. I want to put some tread on here. So outside of the other method that I can show you a little bit later, the more advanced way, here's another way that I can make tread on a tire. I'm going to come in here, I'm going to insert some edge loops. I want to have sort of a chunky tire, so I think I'm going to put one about here and then there. So I have some linear detail, some smaller detail, and then here I'm going to match it up to, it goes about there, and have a little bit smaller about there. So I'm going to look at my shapes, make sure they feel pretty centered right now. So I'm going to go ahead and center this line a little bit like that. This could be moved over. Actually, if I move these over a little bit here, that'll feel pretty good. That matches them, right? Now the one thing I didn't check is I'm going to go around right now and I'm going to select every other face and I'm going to do some extrusion and create sort of the knobby effect on my tire. Okay. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I need to start at a point here. I want to try to, I'm going to extrude these out and create like a tire pattern. It would feel like a knobby. You guys know what that term is, a knobby? It's a piece of rubber that extrudes out from a tire. Now if I go in here right now, you'll notice the reason what's happening is I'm selecting the interior lines here. So if I go to extrude, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to delete some of those faces in there, is so I can freely grab and adjust and create my tread without having to constantly be selecting. So if I were to come in here and extrude right now and try to make that tire shape, it's going to extrude from the center as well and create some type of weird pattern. So that's why before I was thinking about possibly deleting those shapes. Now I'm going to come in here, I'm going to delete them. Okay, so an easy way to delete them is, you'll notice how I just selected right here and I grabbed the interior lines, right? I'm now going to drag a box over the exterior, holding down Control. And I'm just going to go through here and I'm going to deselect all the exterior selections like this. You'll see what I'm doing here, how it's deselecting them. Okay, and it saves me a lot of time with having to go through. There. So if I look now, I have nothing else selected on my box, just those interior lines, right? And you know what? I want to go ahead and delete this inner row here. So even though it's going to take a couple minutes here, I'm just going to go along here and select. It won't take too long. Boom, boom, boom. And I noticed, beware, I noticed that the touch sensitivity in Maya 2013 is much more sensitive than it's been in previous years. So as I'm selecting these, I'm sure I'm selecting through grabbing other shapes as well. See, like right there. Okay, so I got those selected. I actually got those. There. I'm going to come through, I'm going to do this side as well. Alright. Make sure I don't have anything else selected. And I do. There. It's pretty clean right there. Oh, one more back there on the side. There. Hit delete. And I've deleted that whole inner ring there. Okay. Let's go to vertices. There's still a row of vertices in there, so I'm going to select here, delete. That's really weird. I've never seen that happen before. It's keeping that inner edge. That is just the darndest thing. I've never seen that happen before with Maya. There, that's just fine. That's exactly what I wanted right there. One mesh. So now I'm going to come in here, faces, right? Now watch what happens. I'm going to extrude these and create my knobbies. If I extrude all these faces right here, right now, and extrude them, okay, and pull them out, what's it doing? It's doing all of them together. Why? Because before I selected my faces, I did not take off keep faces together. So if I take that off, and I come over here, and now I select my faces, and I hit extrude, it's going to change the effect on every single face here. It should. Let's see what it does. There it goes. See that? Okay. And I start to create a pretty fun little tire tread pattern right there. Alright? Okay. So that's pretty cool. I like that. Now, something else that I could do, watch what happens. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Let's go back there to extrude. After I extrude those faces out, and get a little knobby like that, I can still rotate them a little. See that? And I can put some type of little pattern if I want on there. Okay? So that's actually what I wanted. Was I just wanted a little bit of a knobby pattern coming out. And if I want to get complicated about it, I can extrude again. Hold on a minute. Let me double check something real quick. There. Let me Command Z. I accidentally hit extrude twice, and I didn't mean to do that. There we go. Okay, I'm going to scale that in a little bit like that. Scale that in a little bit here. I'm going to pull these out a little bit. Now I'm going to do another extrusion. I'm going to put another set of sort of dual, another section right in there that might be able to pop out if I want. There. Okay, that's cool. So now if I click off of my object, and I look off at another object, and I come back, look at that cool little tread pattern I put on there. I made a really cool wheel right now. Okay, so I want to add to that right now. Now, this is a really cool function. I want to get, I have a lot of four-edged square shapes in there. I want to get some triangles in there. I'm going to show you how I do that real quick. Okay, I can select faces like this. Get this lined up. I'm going to just drag over it and select all these faces. You see that right there? Boom. Have all this selected. Then come over to this other side. I'm going to draw that same line right over here. And I have all those selected. See that? All those faces. With those faces selected now, I can come back here under Edit Mesh, and I can go down to, I'm sorry, it's under Mesh, and there's an option here to create triangles. It's called Triangulate. So if I click that option, you see what I just did? I created a bunch of cool little triangles inside there right now. Okay? So what I'm going to do is extrude those. Pull those out a little bit. And then I'm going to make them, each one become sort of separate shape. Like that. Okay? And let's go again. Let's click off my object and take a look at what pattern I have. That's why I always have a little box there. It keeps disappearing because I have that little key there set. There, let's just do it like this. There. Now I can hide everything else in my scene and not have to worry about what I'm working on. There. So now if I look at this, look at that cool little tread pattern I made. It's starting to feel like a really cool tire. Okay. So now I'm going to come back and I'm going to add some other, this time though, I might try a different type of spacing. I did every one of these in a row. What if I skip every other one? Just sort of curious what would happen. Hopefully they line up and I have them in the correct order. So let's see what happens if I do that. Up, and they don't line up. You see that? I'm one off right there. So let me see what happens if I did twos. And that doesn't match up either. I go back to the center. So actually, that's something that I should have counted on that I didn't think about. I'm a little off there, so you know what? That's just fine. I'll just select all the faces again, and I'll just have one big beefy tire. So I'm going to select these here. I'm going to select these right here. Okay. It's actually debating if I wanted to triangulate those. Why not? Let's just do it. Let's just see what it looks like here. Triangulate. Okay. Now I'm going to extrude. Come down here under my arrows. I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to scale it in. Scale that in a little bit this way as well. Okay. And let me see if I can do this. This might be a little bit touchy here. And extrude again. I want to see if I can create an inner pocket. Like about there. And then extrude again. And push that shape in a little bit. That's pretty common on tires. Usually the outer couple of knobs on a tire have some type of extra grip detail. Gription's my little word I made up. So there. Okay, cool. If I click off, now look at my tire. I got a pretty cool heavy-duty pattern on there. Okay, so I'm just debating, do I want to add more to it? I haven't done anything to the sidewalls yet. And you know what? I might just do some type of little off pattern here like this. Let's start here. This is going to take me a while to select here just for a second. Let me go around here. I only want to do it on one side. Again, I only have to make one tire, so even though it's a little bit of a painstaking effort to go around and select all these here. And I don't have to do this on the inside because my tire's not going to be seen on that inside. Okay, so I'm just going to try to do these as fast as I can. And I think I'll do another set here as well. This time I'll do these as, you know what, I'll do those next. Because I'm going to do those different. There. So I'm going to go look at my object in see-through mode. I'm going to deselect all these other areas I selected through on. Okay. I'm going to double check it, make sure I don't have anything else selected. Again, look at it in see-through mode. Looks like that's the only thing that's lighting up orange, right? And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to extrude. Okay. And I was debating if I should do these separate or not. Let's see what it looks like if they stay separate. Actually stayed together that time. Well, that's cool. See that? That was sort of an accident there. That might be a happy accident for me. By scaling that out a little bit, it created that weird angle look on it. I sort of like that look. Makes it look like it could dig in. You see that? Like an extra tread piece. I like that a lot. So then now I'm going to come in and going to do the same thing, but now I'm going to select the inner two. And I'm not going to extrude these quite as much because this is what's called the sidewall of a tire. Okay? Good news is I'm almost finished with this. I'm going to have a really awesome shape here. I have a great looking tire. It's going to feel very heavy duty for my vehicle. I'm going to have to investigate. There's got to be some sensitivity for touching faces. Because they changed something in this. Look at this. See how I'm touching? Look at it selecting all the other faces on the other side. And I'm not on the multiple selection mode either. It's just really annoying how it does that now. Look at that. Selected all those other faces. It never used to really do that. There. So I have all those selected here. And I'm going to extrude those out. You know what? This time, I'm going to keep faces together. Extrude. Pull them out a little bit. Scale them in a little. That looks pretty cool. Okay? Let me take that off. Let's try one more extrusion and see what happens. Aha, cool. I got some really neat little pattern that I can get in there. Extrude one more time. Push them inside themselves. Yeah, that's awesome. There. So if I come back and look, look at my cool little Uh-oh, what happened there? Those popped out. Let me Command Z there. There we go. That's why I wanted them about there. Okay. Look at that tire now. I have an awesome looking tire shape there. So if I come back and look at the rest of my vehicle, and I move that tire back into shape here. I'm sorry, into position. I get a really great idea of how I can continue forward on my vehicle from this point. Okay? So what I could do now is I could jump in, I could start modeling part of the rim, and I could figure out part of my rim detail. Okay? So something I didn't do that would have helped me with, I mean, doesn't that tire feel aggressive? Feels like I would see that on Mars, okay, for a rover. Imagine, I'm looking at that, imagine if I had that tire, you know what, do this. If I have these duplicated, and I had that on that side, it gives me an idea of how big my rover is going to be. And I think I want to make it even wider than that. So what I'm going to do is, I could probably come in here and select the majority of all this geometry here. See if I could just splice it right down the middle, which it looks like I could. And I'm going to select all these vertices in here. That's weird. Not everything's good there. Go to vertices. One more time. Vertices. There it goes. I'm going to just come down here and select all of these right here. And I'm going to move them over a little bit like that. Make my vehicle wider. Makes it feel much heavier. Okay? Cool. So, if I were to proceed forward from this point right now, I would want to start working on the rims. I like the idea of some type of protective metal plating that might cover part of the upper part of the tires. This is a real base shape now. I might smooth this while I'm working and see what it starts to look like, if I like that type of organic shape. Okay. One thing I thought of doing was this. So let's go back to 1 here, right? Let me grab these lower vertices here. And what time are we at? We're still pretty good on time. There. I'm going to pull this down because what I'm going to do is I'm going to add, oh, I missed one right there. I'm going to add a couple subdivisions in there so when I smooth it, it'll keep a nice hard edge to it, okay? So how do I do that? I come in here, right, edit mesh, and let's go to, excuse me, insert edge loop here, okay? Come down here, I'm going to add an edge loop there. I'm going to add one right in here, okay? Now I could come in and I could adjust some of these vertices a little bit here. So look at it now when I go to smooth mode. See, it stays thicker. That's pretty cool. That's what I wanted it to do. So I might end up smoothing that shape when I take it to my final piece here. I'm going to extrude a little face here. This here. That face, look, make sure that's all I have selected. I'm going to extrude those out right here. Like so. Can't talk today. And I'm going to move these upper vertices over right here just a little bit. Get a little bit of an angle design on there. Okay. And then I'm going to extrude this down. Remember I said I wanted to cover part of my wheel. I want to make a protective plate that comes down like this. And maybe comes to like an end, like that. That might link up part of the detail of the center of the rim. Okay? Because I was actually trying to think of a really cool rim shape that I might have. There, that's pretty cool. Now look what happens when I smooth that. See that? I get this weird transition between those two. So to fix that, that's because I probably extruded it. And you know what? So now watch. I had faces off. I'm going to Command Z and go back to where I extruded there. Okay? I'm going to touch these faces again. And this time I'm going to make sure I'm on faces together. Now as I extrude, and I pull that out, now as I extrude from here and pull that out, I shouldn't have that. let's keep our fingers crossed here. There. See, I don't have it now? Because when I extruded the faces, I had that clicked on off. There were two individual faces that created that little ridge detail. Okay? There. So now to get a hard edge on this, if I go back to number 1, all I have to do is come back down here and insert another edge loop. Edit mesh. Insert edge loop. I'm going to put one here around the base there. And I might even throw one right in here. That's going to keep it hard edged as well. Okay? So now if I go to 3, and I come back, there you go. And I can go to 3, there. So I have a nice, real cool fender shape there. You see how I made that? Okay? Base poly, but I put a smooth option on it. Now look at the difference. Look at how cool that little shape is. Okay? But I'm going to come back in and modify that a little bit more. And one of the thoughts I had was extending this down like to about there. And then I might even, let's look at it this way. What if I did this? What if I extend these vertices inward a little? Nope, I missed a set. You know what? That's an accident. Happy accidents, guys. That could be a cool little shape there. See how that has like a geometric appeal to it now? Now if I move this up a little, aha! Doesn't that feel cool? That's a nice little shape all of a sudden right there. And if I smooth that, look at how cool that looks. Okay? So I'm going to leave that shape alone for right now. I'm going to come in here and start thinking about how I want to make my rim, what other base shapes I want to use. Okay? And so it's funny, you could see how much detail and information, we've spent another 20-30 minutes talking about the tire. And that's just one approach on it. I could have done the tire as a flat piece of tread. And what I mentioned by that, I'll have to do a separate demo on this. It's just taking a plain surface like this, and if I come in here, and if I add a series of subdivisions like so, okay, actually what you want to do is this. We'll just have 1 or 2. And we make one section of the tire tread, and then we can duplicate it. And this is where you can duplicate it and attach it in a long line, and then put a round deformer on it, and you can wrap that. But let me give you a quick example of how you can make like a really cool tire tread this way. See? It's going to be a pattern where the next piece is going to fit together on the next piece here. So I could do something like this really easily. You know what? I forgot. Anyone know what my mistake was? There it goes. Now let's do it. There we go. Okay. There we go. I like that, how it gets that angle look on it. That's cool. That looks like a neat tread pattern, right? Now I'm going to select these inner tread patterns right here, and I'm going to go down to mesh, and I'm going to triangulate that. Okay. All right. Now, here's a good question. I had this talking with a student once. What happens if you want to have you notice the triangles went this way, right? What if you want the triangles to go in the middle, face towards the middle, right? Well, what you can do is there's another wonderful tool up here that you can use. Above Insert Edge Loop, it's Interactive Split Tool. Once I click that tool, it'll give me an orange dot. I'll start there, and if I hit, and see how I go to the middle? The dot forms when I hit there, and then I watch, and I hit return, and it didn't do it. That's not good. It always does it.
I think you have to press enter.
I did. Let me try that again here. Edit mesh, and interactive split tool. Let's go from the center here, and let's go to there. Enter. There it goes. Sometimes it gets picky on the direction that you want to go. So if I go through here and I do this a couple more times, okay, and I need to get my hotkeys on here. It just takes too long. Start there, and there. It's not liking me today. Okay. There. There. Oh, that's why. You know what it is? It's lighting up. Didn't used to light up like this. I have to click the mouse button to set the point, and then I hit return. So anyway, I'm going to create a really cool tread pattern now this way. So let's do that again, a couple more times here. Split tool, come here, touch where you want it to go, hit return. Again, let's come back down under the edit mesh there, interact with split tool, touch that end, go to that end, hit return. Okay, let's try it again like this, edit mesh. I didn't even think about doing this, but I should have. Interact with split tool, one end, one end, one end. There, save myself more time. One more time, edit mesh. Okay, interact with split tool, one end, one end, one end, hit return. Okay, now let's extrude some of those shapes and see what we get. Let's do these. No, not those. Yeah. I was wanting to make a cool pattern in there with that popping up. You know what, I could do that if I do those separate. There. See, sometimes here's a benefit of having to think about. That way it'll all link up once I duplicate this and add it on and add the vertices together. So mesh, put faces together on, right? And then it's on. So then if I go to extrude, now I can extrude these up. Okay. And watch what happens when I go to scale. That's actually doing it from the center, which is good. I wanted that to happen. I was afraid maybe it wouldn't do it all the way. And now look, watch what happens if I push it and I shift it. See, I can make a really cool tread pattern that way. Make it look like it could really grind into something. So that's cool. I like that feel right there. Okay? And then now I'm going to come back in here into these other faces. Right there. Okay? And thank you, sir. I'm going to extrude those as well. I like the fact, Josh, that you're listening to this lecture. Even though you're in the 104 class, that's fine. Okay. You know what? That wasn't what I was really going for. But hold on a minute here. I was wanting to do them individually. Let me see if I can do them individually. There. Edit mesh, take this off. Extrude. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's nice. That has a nice little look to it. I think I'm going to have to move them back a little bit, like so. And then I'm going to extrude those out. I'm going to adjust these manually really quick, those two faces. Pull down a little bit more, so I'm going to pull them down this way a little, like so. Okay? And then once I get them where I like them, I'm going to go back and touch them all again. Same thing with these two. I have to pull those down as well. Yeah, like that. I'm going to go back and touch these faces where I like them. I'm going to extrude those again and make a really cool tread pattern out of there. Okay? Extrude. Pull that shape up. Scale them in a little bit more. Let me look at it this way. I'm going to make sure that pattern gets up to about the same level. There. Okay? So if I click off of it, alright, there. So now I have a really cool tread pattern that's happening there. So what I could do, is, this is a more complicated way, is I know this takes a little bit of time, is I would duplicate that now. Okay? And you see how I put it there? I now would combine those two. So edit mesh, okay? And tell it under mesh, combine, it's combined. Now I have to go and I have to attach the vertices here, where I combined them. So right there I have my little submenu hotkey there to attach the vertices. I come into here, select those vertices there, I combine them, and I select these, I combine those, okay? I'm going to combine those, and combine those. Okay, there. Now, it's one piece of geometry. See that? Now I'm going to do that again. Duplicate that. Oops, not the face, didn't mean to do that. Now this takes a little bit of trial and error. That's why this is a little bit more complicated. But now if I were to combine this with this, okay, I'm just picky. That's so tinily off. Just a little bit like that, right? This is why this is more of an advanced. Usually that's why I showed you the other way first. But this just takes a little bit more time, right? Mesh, combine, okay? And, uh-oh, where's my midsection there? Right here in the middle. You can see the lines, how they double up right there. So I'm going to go back under vertices again. I'm going to select those vertices right here, and I'm going to combine them right there. Select those, hit combine, okay, combine. Now I would need to do this maybe 1 or 2 more times. Obviously every time I do it once I'm doubling the length of the tire, which is fantastic. So the reason why I'm doing this is that now, this is one piece of geometry that I've created, right? Right, here's the magic part. Remember I showed you guys deformers? Okay, let me move this over. If I come back under, go under animation, I'm going to create deformers. I'm going to go to nonlinear deformers right here. I'm going to go to bend. I put a bend on that. I'm going to rotate my bend so it's in the length of the tire. I come down here, put my bend at -90, and then I come down into my input option for bend. I go to curvature, and look guys, see what I'm doing?
Wow, that's really interesting.
Okay, that's how I can make, if you want to make a really complex tread pattern, you could get down as complex as you want. That's how I would do it, is I would start from there, I would make it in one little 4 patch, and then duplicate it, and keep doing it. Now, what's happening when I put that bend there is that you'll see, I need more length of a tire there. I should duplicate it and combine more vertices. It's going to mess up the look of some of the tread pattern, because as I get this to just about come to close, this is where I need to come in here and type in the numbers manually. I type in 3.2. Nope, it's not quite there. What's under 3.2? 3.18. A little bit more. So 3.21. 3.26 about. Almost there. 3.28. Almost there. Any guesses? How about 3.1? Ah, right about there. And then I would combine that and attach those vertices. Once I combine that, here, I wanted to make it a little bit longer. So let me delete the deformer. Let's do that. Let's do it the right way. So I want to have this be a nice big tire. I don't want to lose, uh-oh. You know, that would help if I saved my file, huh? I preached to you guys about saving your files, and I haven't saved this file yet. So let's come here. Let me find on my desktop here. I'm going to say this as, give me a second here. Classes. This is for the 106 class, and this is the Mars Rover demo. Save as. Okay, cool. So here, I just want to do it right. So here, I'm going to delete this again and move this over to about here. Okay. If you ever like this, see how I'm in the middle of the screen right now and I can't see my pivot? What I can do if I hit insert on my keyboard, it takes off the arrows and I can move my pivot to where I can see it, and if I hit insert again, it brings it back. This way I can frame up on my object and I can have the pivot where I need them to move them together. See that? It's a wonderful. And then if I hit center pivot, the pivot snaps back to where it was before. It saves me a tremendous amount of time. I select both objects here. Okay. And I'm going to come down and, oh, I'm in the wrong submenu here. Let's go back to polygons. And I'm going to come back down under combine here, under mesh, combine them into one piece. And I did that so good. There. I'm trying to see where the dang line is. It's right in front of me right there. So mesh, combine. And I'm going to go into vertices here, combine all these into that row here. So select those. Combine. Combine. And combine. 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 Okay. Now I'd want to go onto that piece and place that nonlinear deformer. Okay? Because now I have a much bigger piece of tread. It's not going to be a stretch. It'll feel a lot nicer. So I come back down under animation here. Let's go and do edit deformers. I'm sorry, create deformers, nonlinear deformers. Let's go to bend. I take my bend. I need to rotate it at 90 degrees. So it's along the length of the object. Type in -90 right here. It's there. And now what I'm going to do, oops, and then come down here, put the curvature total, get that to bend where it's almost where I want it. Right there. So that's about, I think that's at 3.2 about. Nope, a little bit less. 0. Nope, not that 0. Um, 3.1 maybe? 3.16? 3.9? Or maybe it was 2.1. Almost? 2.2? That feels pretty good, right? And I can see that, hopefully I can see that space in there. See, I can't see the space. So what I'm going to do is go back to the deformer, the bend here. Oops. You know what, guys? Our class is about done here. Let me Command Z it. There. I want a little bit of space so I can see the line in there. Let's go 1. There. So that's just fine. I can see exactly where that line needs to be. It's right. I'm going to zoom up on it so I know it's right in front of me. Right there. And then I'm going to come back. So it's right in the middle of my screen. I'm going to put this back to 2. Okay. There. And you see that's a little too far. See that? So it's not, I don't really have another option to go between 1 and 2. There's no other real option there. Well, I could. I could go 1, 5, right? Ah, perfect. Just enough little edge there. And so what I'm going to do is come back up. I'm going to go back to Polygon submenu. I'm going to come over into Mesh. I'm going to say, I mean, it's already one piece, so I don't need to combine it. I just bent it. So I'm just going to go to Vertices. I'm going to select my vertices here, and I'm going to merge vertices there. There's also a new Merge Vertices tool. I haven't quite learned the whole thing yet. I'm going to show that to you guys. Merge vertices there. Come in here. Select all those vertices, merge those. Okay. Merge those. And merge these right here. Okay. Cool. There you go. There's the start of my that tire. Okay. Edit, delete by type history. Why? Because I have the bend in there. Okay. Center the pivot. That's my new tire shape that I was working on. So what I can do, now it's all one shape. Hopefully this works. If I say select edge, okay, select edge loop, or edge ring, or border edge. There'll be one of those two, depending on, so that wasn't it. So let's go back to select again. Edge ring. That's doing it that way. Let's try border edge. Aha! See what it did? Selected the whole border edge for me. Do you see that? I'm going to do that here on the other side too. Hold down Shift. Select that whole border edge right there. I'm going to hit Control, deselect those edges there, and look at my object. So you have the border edge now. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude. We can extrude on edges. Even though that the arms pop up right there, if I go back and press my scale button, it'll put it in the center of the object and allow me to extrude inward. See that? This is how I make the rest of my tire shape. Pretty cool, huh? You know, I keep going. Now watch, I'm going to wrap it around there. So I'm going to use my hotkey now and just extrude again. Go back to scale option. Inward a little bit more. Put out a little bit more like that. Okay, extrude again. Go back to scale. Bring it in a little bit like so. And then maybe one more time. Like that. Okay? And I click off of it. Okay? And there's part of my tire. Now I have those hard edges in there. But look at what happened when I smooth my tire. I can get some type of funky design like that. And there's also another way. Oops, I'm hitting all the wrong buttons right now. I can come back in here and I could get the object to smooth off. And that could take a little bit of trial and error, but I usually do that by coming in here. And give me a second here, guys. I know we need to go. Everyone's waiting to come in for the next class here. and I can modify the, give me a second, where is it under mesh or proxy here? Presets. You know what, I'll show that to you next time because I know we have the rest of the class coming in here, and then I'll go over. Basically, we have some of those edges right in there. What happened there? Is that a mistake on my part? That extrusion. A little bit of a vertice showing there. I don't know why. All right, see you later. Yeah, that, you know what? That might happen when I had the edges selected and I extruded. So I'm going to Command Z and go back. There. Yeah, something happened there when I extruded. I had an extra edge in there for some reason. So yeah, see that? So anyway, we'll talk about that a little bit more and how to add some more detail in there and information, and I'll finish that up on the next lecture. So let me go ahead and pause that. But you can see in time-wise how much time that took me to do that as compared to what it took me to do this. It's a whole night and day difference. There's a lot more detail in there, but for what I'm working on, this tread pattern is still really nice. That has almost 5,000 vertices. This is only 1,000 vertices. So there's a lot more extrusions happening. This is twice as wide, but you know, I can still make some really complicated designs in there. What I could also do is select all those edges in there, bring them in, and I can insert edge loops in there and then modify the edge loops to form the shape of the object as well on my tire. Okay? All right, one second here. Let me stop this.